So, the Ecuador preparing to hand Julian Assange over to the UK. Um, so this is not entirely accurate. They are in talks and whatnot, but at the moment they're not actually giving him over just yet. But it is definitely getting very close to that point, which is very kind of scary considering what else we're going to talk about regarding this. So this is going to be two articles in the same video, guys. So let's just jump straight into it. Ecuador and UK
Yeah.
ministers are trying to find a way to evict Julian Assange from his London embassy, where he has been held up for over 6 years. The South American state plans to hand over the WikiLeaks founder to Britain in the coming weeks or even days, according to Russia Today editor in chief Maria Samina. Citing her own sources, she tweeted, "My source tells Julian Assange will be handed over to Britain in the coming weeks or even days," adding that, "Like never before, I wish my sources were wrong." So if Assange is handed over to British authority, he could be eventually extradite him to the US to face prosecution over the publication of leaked US military and diplomatic documents. RT reports Simmons' message comes as speculations Ecuador is in talks with the UK over the future of Assange are back again in British press. Earlier this week, the Times reports that Britain is locked up in top-tier discussions with the Ecuadorians in a bid to remove Assange from their embassy. So, Sir Alan Dakin, the Foreign Office Minister, said to be spearheading the diplomatic effort. Sources close to Assange said he himself was not aware of the talks, but believed America was putting significant pressure on Ecuador, including threatening to block a loan from the International Monetary Foundation (IMF) if he continues to stay at the embassy. The Times reports comes just weeks before a visit to the UK by the newly elected Ecuadorian President Lincoln Morando, who has labelled Assange a hacker and an inherent problem and a stone in the shoe. Oh, wow. Okay, so he's definitely a fan of Assange, isn't he? There have been other worrying signs indicating Assange is steadily becoming a troublemaker for Ecuador. In the late March this year, the Ecuadorian government has suspended Assange's communication privileges with the outside world, cutting off his internet connection at the embassy. The move was sparked by Assange alleged breach of an agreement to refrain from interfering in other state affairs. Previously, he blasted the Spanish government for cracking down on the Catalanian independent movement, and he was also critical of the chemical weapon attack from quote Russia on the two Russian spies in the UK. But anyway, Assange has been held up in the Ecuadorian embassy since 2012, where he was asked the Latin American state for asylum, and the 47-year-old was wanted by Sweden on sexual harassment allegations, but the fear the extradition would lead him to being transferred to the US prosecution without a fair trial. Those allegations have since been debunked and discredited and withdrawn, by the way. The US has been saying that Assange was engaged in terrorism, with Attorney Jeff Sessions, which I'll get to another story, has yet called for his arrest a priority over the years. WikiLeaks has published hundreds of thousands of classified US files, including the cables on Iraq War, leaked by whistleblower Chelsea Manning in 2010. Despite the Swedish investigation against him being closed in May last year, the Australian journalist was still unable to leave the embassy because of an outstanding British warrant for allegedly breaching bail conditions. No guarantee of him not being extradited to the US is given. And also, in a follow-up story, Jeff Sessions seeing Assange die in prison is number one priority. Oh, terrific. But we'll keep going with this. US Attorney Jeff Sessions has warned that putting Assange behind bars for life is now his number one priority. According to a report by CNN, Sessions has ordered authorities to issue an arrest warrant for Assange, who is about to be evicted from the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Last week, Ecuador announced they would be handing the WikiLeaks founder over to the US authorities within days. The announcement by AG Sessions is in direct contrast to Trump's stance on Assange, who famously praised WikiLeaks during the 2016 presidential election. Basically that's about all I want to cover on that before I go punching my monitor. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that they will hand him over to the US, and do you think Ecuador will kick him out?
I'm not sure, but it sure sounds like someone wants to keep him quiet about something.
Is Satellite still awake, or is he going to sleep again?
Yeah. I would say that I would say that as soon as they caught wind that the IMF like they were asking for a loan from the IMF, they must have gone straight to that and used it as leverage. And this new president they have there for Ecuador, he sounds like a partisan shill, maybe a plant. I'm not sure.
He's definitely a globalist, from my understanding, anyway.
Yeah. So they finally have a way to get him out of there. It would be interesting if Russia could get a plane in there and get him out, because the other guy, who leaked the PRISM stuff, is in Russia, protected over there.
Snowden.
But
even that is a little tenuous. Snowden wasn't guaranteed Russia access. What he was that he landed in Russia when his passport was removed, and he couldn't leave Russia because the US wouldn't issue his new passport. And Russia eventually, after a lot of and ahhing, gave him asylum because of the fact that he couldn't spend his whole time living in the airport.
So it was more circumstantial.
Yep. So it wasn't the fact that Russia came out and said, "Yeah, you're a great bloke. Let me give you a free citizenship to our country." It was more the fact that this guy is stuck in our country. We can't have him squatting in the airport for another 5 years. He can't leave the country because of the fact that the US will not issue him a passport because they want him for terrorism. And the only thing we really can do is to let him stay.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look like Trump is doing anything to jeopardize Snowden's ability to stay there.
No.
So maybe Trump might even
That's what I was going to hit on.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, and this is what I was going to hit on. What about the theory that Trump is letting Assange be arrested and detained, and he is going to pardon him as soon as he is?
Interesting. He could pardon him and have him, go somewhere else out of America. Yeah.
He could go anywhere he wants if he's pardoned. He would be free to do whatever he wants. So imagine, for example, Trump is like, "Yeah, whatever, Jeff, go arrest Assange. Yep, do whatever you want." Meanwhile, gets a call, "Hey, we got Assange. Yeah, we're bringing him back." Trump, "Yeah, great. I want to meet him." Soon as he gets off that plane, Trump says, "Here you go, Julian. Here's a pardon for you, mate." Or however it works. And everybody is just sitting there with egg on their face. Trump sitting there playing 4D chess, going, "F you guys, Assange is now free," and the deep state losing it. Because here is the guy they've been chasing for 6 years, 7 years? They finally get him, and President Trump gives him a pardon.
That would be absolutely hilarious.
If this is what actually happens, I would roll on the floor laughing for half a day.
Oh, if this actually happens, I would lose my shit, pissing myself laughing too. Yes, I would definitely. Yes. But also, what do you think about the fact that Australia, I had another thought. What if Australia was to give Julian Assange diplomatic immunity?
It wouldn't help with the American side of things, but he could come back to Australia.
Make him a diplomat for Washington, for Australia.
But he'd still have to be pardoned by Trump.
Diplomatic immunity.
I don't know if Australia has that much pull.
Yeah. Well, he's handed over his citizenship for Australia anyway, so that can't
Yeah.
happen. But if he was to go through, get Australian citizenship, and this is what I would do if I was Prime Minister of Australia, I would give him back his citizenship, and I would give him diplomatic immunity.
Yeah, but then Australia will cop things like Ecuador did.
It'd be worth it. Do you know what precedent this sets? Having news reporters arrested or journalists arrested for reporting on stories?
Not a very good one.
Yeah, a bad one. Yeah.
Because that's what this is. This is him he hasn't hacked anything himself. He hasn't downloaded anything himself. All the information was given to him, right, by who we presume is Seth Ridge. So at the end of the day, he hasn't broken any laws. He is a journalist. He is fully entitled or allowed to report on these WikiLeaks and on these information that he is being given. This is where obviously there's a difference between Snowden and Assange. Snowden is actually a leaker. Snowden actually did steal the data. Technically, Snowden did break the law. I support what Snowden did, but technically, yes, he has broken the law. Assange hasn't actually done that. He didn't hack anything. He didn't download anything himself. All he done was receive information from a third party, and he's published it as a publisher, which is what he is. This means that if they can arrest him, they can arrest me, they can arrest you, they can arrest Officer Slaps, they can arrest mainstream media, Channel 7, Channel 9, they can arrest NBC, ABC, anybody that reports on news that you do not like.
Well, there are some new Orwellian laws in Australia when it comes to some journalism.
Oh, like what?
They've been coming out over the past few years. Nonpartisan probably has an article they can rip up quickly on it.
I'm actually on my mobile at the moment, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's new laws coming through where they're trying to bring in new hate speech laws and stricter hate speech laws. And the thing is that the news and media don't want them brought through because they're not excluded from the hate speech laws.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
even
funny.
reporting. Yeah. So it's a case of the media is like, hey, you can be Llewellyn as much as you want, as long as you don't include us in this bracket of people that are going to be affected.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose the other thing to mention too is that Assange is not the only guy. Like WikiLeaks has a lot of shadowy individuals behind it right now. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Staff. They're all. Shouldn't they all have arrest warrants on them?
I believe a few of them have actually had accidents over the past few months. Yeah.
They committed
suicide by 2 shots to the back of the head.
One of them was so depressed with his life that he was pushed onto a train track with an oncoming train. They believe it was depression, but anyway, if you get that one, you're doing better than a lot of other people. Seem to miss the fact that he was pushed onto the train track. But anyway, that was, I believe that was his lawyer that was killed or something like that. His lieutenant, his second-hand person, I think it was actually a woman, she was killed in a robbery or something. There was a whole bunch of string of deaths surrounding WikiLeaks and his staff members a few months ago, earlier this year, actually. It was a weird time because you had to go into a life insurance company and said, I work for WikiLeaks. Chances are you probably wouldn't have been covered because it was a very dangerous occupation back then. Probably more dangerous than paratrooper, but anyway. But,
I think being an asteroid miner would be a safer job.
Yeah, then working for WikiLeaks at the moment probably would be. Yeah. But anyway, look, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe that Trump will actually go through and pardon Julian Assange? Do you believe that that he will be arrested and that he will be extradited back to the US to face court? Are you concerned with the fact that they are now arresting journalism or arresting journalists or publishers? And what do you think that says about the future? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next monetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.